The events of January 6, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol will surely go down as one of the most controversial days in U.S. history. And there's still a lot of that history to write. There's at least 15,000 hours of video footage all sides are dissecting to piece together exactly how that day got so out of hand. A single person's action spans over hours and may tell an inconsistent story. The FBI made over 725 arrests, with more still possible. The January 6th Commission is doing its work of trying to get to the bottom of who's to blame. At the same time, another layer of controversy has been added on over allegations of gross mistreatment of many in pretrial detention. Jacob Lang is one of them. Arrested a year ago, he faces 11 counts, ranging from civil disorder to physical violence in the Capitol grounds or building with a deadly weapon, to assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers using a dangerous weapon, identified as a bat and a shield in his indictment papers. I sat down earlier to discuss his conditions with his father and his lawyer. We're joined now by Ned Lang, father of Jacob, or Jake Lang, who's been in pretrial detention now for about a year, and their lawyer, Stephen Metcalf. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
So we last spoke in July, and at that point, a lot of what we were talking about were the poor jail conditions of Jake and other January 6 detainees. Well, this past week, 14 Republican members of Congress sent a strongly worded letter to the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Michael Carville, demanding he immediately address the abhorrent persecution of American citizens being held in pretrial detention under your watch. And a few days before that letter was sent, Jake was doing a live phone interview with Newsmax when the call was interrupted. He was talking about just those conditions. Here's what happened.
So, Jake, no doubt you're going to probably face some repercussions for even doing this interview with us today. Are you a little worried about that?
Fear does not live in the hearts of patriots, and, it's time for the American people to band together and to stand behind the Constitution and to really support the January 6ers, because we were the frontline patriots.
This call is being terminated by the facility.
Uh-oh. Yep.
All right. Interesting.
Someone didn't like that.
Ned, can you tell us what happened right after that call to Jake and basically what life has been like for him over the last year in jail?
Well, it's been a tough road for my son and all the patriots in the prison there. Jake was in the middle of an interview, merely exercising his First Amendment rights, speaking about the conditions, speaking about the abhorrent treatment. Once they shut him down that day, neither Steve nor I have heard from him, and we heard from him on Wednesday night, finally, after 7 days of complete blackout, not knowing what was going on. And in that period of time, I found out he had COVID. They didn't allow him out of his cell, and he laid on his floor with a high fever for almost a full day, sweating it out. And so it's been a tough year for my son. He's in and out of solitary confinement, where you have 22 hours in the cell, 2 hours out. And then for a while there, all the patriots were in for 14 days, solitary confinement with no time out of the jail. Unbelievable, tough conditions. He hasn't had a haircut, a shave in over a year now. It's unspeakable what's going on inside that prison.
And Steve, have you been able to talk to him now? And if you can explain from your perspective what's going on and how things are going. I know you're trying to get him out on bail after a year.
The biggest concern that we had legally is that there was no justification for shutting off his access to his phones and his access to his family. We made numerous requests during that time to have legal calls scheduled. All those requests were absolutely unanswered. So it continues this paper trail that we've been addressing for months, going back to our bond application that you just mentioned. Now, I was able to speak with Jake January 4th for the first time.
What's the normal situation? Do prisoners normally have full access to phone, internet?
So normal circumstances are we have access to our clients in various different ways. The first example is every time we've mailed Jake hard copy mail with actual legal memorandum and notes and documents, it's always been returned to us. We actually took a stack of those papers that were returned to us to the court and showed the court the physical packages that we were getting returned. That's not typical by any means. the circumstances that we're dealing with at the DC jail is everything is monitored. His emails to me have to go through a system. His messages to his family get monitored through a tablet. All of his phone calls, as we could tell from that interview, are being monitored. Everything is being monitored to an extent I have never seen before and never had to deal with before. If we try to set up a legal call with him, it takes us 30 to 40 days to set up a legal call, whether it's just a regular call or a video visit. He hasn't been able to see his family throughout this entire year. There's been a mountain of different things that we have complained about with regards to access to counsel and Jacob being able to assist in his own defense. Another big issue that we've taken is how we have to give a disc to the DC jail, and they have to wait on a line for weeks, if not months at a time. And then when they finally get access to that disc, they only have 2 weeks to be able to review that material. That is unheard of in the cases that I've handled. So when you think of normal scenarios and normal conditions, every single thing that we've been dealing with Jake and at the DC jail has been abnormal. Now, punishment. If an inmate does something where they are to be punished, such as his phone rights and access to speaking to his family being stripped away from him, then he has to be notified as to why he's being punished. And we have yet to receive any notification or any justification whatsoever as to why Jake's phone rights and all communication was stripped away from him for the past week, and how they were just suddenly put back on after all these complaints and right after Marjorie Taylor Greene's letter was actually sent over to the FBI.
So just to clarify, the discs that you're trying to get to him, those are evidence for him to review, or what's on those discs?
Absolutely. It's only his discovery. It's over a terabyte of different material, and most of it is material that the government intends on using against him, that he should have the right to review. He should have the right to review for as long as he needs to be able to fully discuss this with us, meaning his legal team, and be able to, from there, create the best defenses going forward. And we have not been able to do that under these circumstances.
So let me ask you, there's about 40, is that right, people still in detention and pre-trial that haven't had a plea bargain or any sentencing or anything like that. Is that correct?
My understanding is that there's approximately 40 in the DC jail, and then there are another anywhere from, the number may be a little bit lower now, maybe 30 to 40 other pretrial January 6th detainees spread through different jails throughout the country.
What are you expecting for Jake?
Only thing I can say about that right now is that there has been an offer that has been conveyed. There were various different clauses and conditions that came with that offer where Jake unequivocally denied such offer. He did so recently on the record, and we are not in a position right now to come to an agreement that is acceptable to us at this time.
So, Ned, what is your opinion? A deal has been offered. I guess we can't disclose the details of that, but do you think your son should take a deal?
My take on this is purely political persecution. The deals and stuff that these folks are offering are abhorrent. I want to take this thing right to trial. I want, at whatever the cost, we're going to push this thing. The only way to truly vet what happened on January 6th is through trial. Mainstream media has painted quite a horrible picture, but we're coming out with a documentary that's going to show the truth about J6 and what really happened and why those folks were there. And it was a peaceful protest, and the brutality of the cops, it was a setup, and we're going to show that. And we're going to show that my son was out there defending Americans from horrible police brutality. If you look at what happened throughout the last couple of years with the Antifa and the BLM folks and the deals, they were actually don't even worry about deals. They were either let out on bail immediately for the most part, or you had Kamala Harris and some other folks up there, pushing for no bail and having the charges dropped.
Ned, let me just quickly ask you this. The reporter on Newsmax said that what she wanted to ask Jake before they were cut off was whether he regrets now having gone into the Capitol, at the very least, was going to be her question. Is that something you've discussed with him? Does he regret the events of that day and being involved in them?
My son was there as a peaceful protester exercising his First Amendment rights. My son reacted when the police came out of that tunnel and started beating, pummeling, flash grenades, all kind of devices and inhalants mace, you name it, so that they attacked these folks, they enticed them, they entrapped them, and then they attacked them. My son was there. You'll see in the videos trying to call the police off. You stop, you're hurting, you're killing people. Roseanne Boylan died in my son's arms, and my son saved Philip Anderson's life and pulled him out of that pile. And Philip Anderson has testified to that.
Be sure to watch the entire episode, now available exclusively at epochtv.com, a new completely censorship-free premium subscription platform. Brought to you by the Epoch Times. See you there.